Hey guys, welcome back to Trekyards. I'm Captain Foley.
I am Commander Cockings, and we are back to the past.
We are talking about episode 8, season 2 of Discovery called If Memory Serves. And I gotta say, I was super impressed overall. I was, mildly blown away a little bit. And I am on board with this one. There's been a major course correction, and I think I said it last night a few times that I think Discovery's finally kind of found its legs a little bit.
I'm mixed, but mixed positive because mostly because I was waiting for the final hook. Like last week, it was kind of good, and then the Talos brought me right in. I was waiting for that moment in this episode. I didn't get that, so I was kind of like waiting the entire time. So it kind of like, it felt like another build without a payoff. Because, the payoff last week was the story of this week. So that by itself isn't a payoff. It's the story. But I liked it, certainly. Just I was waiting for something the entire time. And I kept dwelling on one line, which I'm sure we'll talk about later, which is exciting. And I will also say that the 3 plot lines, every time we jumped to one of the other ones, I was like, I'm not as interested. I want to go back to Talos.
I thought like 20 minutes had passed, and I looked at the clock, and it said 8:53, and I'm like, damn, this is almost over. I was kind of disappointed because it kind of just blew by for me. The side stories that were in there with Pike and even Dr. Colbert were fine. They were short enough. They were kind of just like a little bit of a palate cleanser to...
That's a good way of saying it.
Well, get you to reorient yourself for the Talos stuff.
Well, it's funny because I say, the Talos stuff was more interesting. I wish I had more. But I thought they showed considerable respectful restraint on the Talosians. It wasn't a big cluster F. It wasn't a big, we're going to just destroy their culture and ruin who they are, what they are. It was, we're going to use them just as much as we need to. So therefore, any more would have been bad. It's just other little bits I would have wanted more. And like I said to you last week, it's nice that they are not the end-all be-all. He just needed them for their ability. So it's a very, happen to fact, I just need them, then we're gone again. Which is exactly how I think that was. It wasn't, we're going back to Talos to deal with these guys again. It's like, no, we just need their help. Please, because you owe us a favour. It was nice. It was a...
I think that the TOS storyline really helped the Menagerie and the Cage, to be honest, especially the Menagerie, because we kind of get a sense now that Pike kind of sort of loved Vina and thought about her a few times between, the Cage and seeing her in this one. So that's actually a nice tie-in, because you didn't get that sense in the Menagerie. It was kind of like this was a last-ditch effort for his well-being, if you will. But now it seems more like a fulfillment of this relationship with him and Vina. So everybody kind of wins in the end. Vina has her love interest. He gets to reunite with her. It actually kind of makes the Menagerie feel a little bit better to me.
Although I do think that Cage doesn't exactly... It's a very one-sided love. Vina likes him. Pike's a prisoner, is forced to do things. So I think he liked her in retrospect after thinking back and I never quite felt that spark with anyone else. I wish I could see her again away from being a captive in a, So I think they probably pushed love a little bit too far. And I like that I really was waiting to see Pike on Talos, the other Pike. Her because what we saw was that a fake Pike went with Vina. Yeah. I was waiting to see him walk in and Burnham be like, Captain, and then he would sort of fade away. He's in full on Cage uniform, exactly as we saw. But then Vina says, it was obviously she just sat down and lived a lifetime, and it was more. It's all in her head, so obviously speed is relative. So it was nice that we reinforced that wasn't enough.
Yeah, it's interesting because I was thinking the same thing. I was hoping to see Pike on Talos, the old Pike with the old uniform would have been very cool. Well, not the old Pike, obviously, but the new Pike with the old uniform. Previously on, they kept all the original footage. From the Cage. They even didn't use the remastered effects. They used the original effects for the Enterprise and stuff in that opening, which kind of surprised me a little bit, but that establishes that Enterprise was canon in their timeline. I was impressed. And because I said it's on network television and they run Space runs Star Trek all week, Monday is TOS, Tuesday is TNG, and so on, from 3 to 8, I thought I wasn't watching the show yet because it looked like an ad for Star Trek on Space. Um, but then you got the little 14 TV thing in the corner showing that it's a TV show. And I was like, really? They're actually doing this? I was impressed. It was a nice subtle little surprise and a nice nod that I really appreciated. It would have been kind of neat if they would have actually refilmed the scenes. That would have been a nice touch with the old uniforms. But at the same time, I think people would have complained about that. So it's a damned if you do, damned if you don't. But I think it was a nice nod to Star Trek fans.
I think this episode is a great indicator of how the showrunners and the mentality is different from those who wrongly started the show in season 1 and took it over to those who now operate in season 2. The difference in the culture respect, the canon respect. Season 1 actively threw stuff at the wall and walked away. We actually saw clips from the original, which adds more questions. Although you can probably argue that the Enterprise we see is as much the old version as that's the old Pike to our new Pike. So that was how he looked in the old version. This is how he looks in the new version. It's the same character, but it doesn't matter about the visuals. I mean, they can use that argument quite happily, which I think they will. But it's certainly a more tactful episode. And yes, a charming little opening.
And as for the Talosians themselves, I was kind of off put by the male lead being the magistrate. I wish they would have cast all women. The second one was a female. I think the third one was as well in the background. But the fact that their veins didn't pulse, they kind of like had a shimmer go through them. It was kind of they tried something anyway. But to me, they look more like Binars to me than Talosians.
Binars is a good shout.
They had more of a remastered Binar look. But overall, not bad. And it was cool seeing the three of them. The wardrobing was perfect. So I got to give them kudos for that.
Yeah, because time has passed, they didn't act or feel like the Talosians from the cage. How they move, how they're quick and they're more conspiratorial and they have a plan. These guys are far more like, oh, hello, let's help you. We're proud and strong and yes, we'll help you. And there's a completely different tonal shift. But we can sort of guess that the events of the first one, they taught them a lesson of you can't do this, guys. Be better. Don't hurt who used to be as a culture for this new agenda. And so they're different. And also, they owe the Federation because they did some dodgy things. They felt different, but I guess there is a couple of years of growth. But I think a little bit too accommodating. A little bit, you compare them to what they did in Cage. It's like these guys are really friendly and really happy to help and really easygoing. A little bit too much. Could have been a bit more sneaky, but again, they were just the right amount of underused, And I mean, I guess I'll talk about it now. I called so many things. I'm glad that was right from the trailer. I said the black hole was an illusion. It was like, yep, great. So there's no tension in that scene, but it's still like superpowers. And I was right about Vina. I called that. Right from the get, and I was very happy at that because it's such an obvious you can't ignore it. Although I think she was done great as a reboot Vina, but she didn't have that same alienness of the first one. She was just a normal lady with sort of a slightly distant feel. The other Vina was all this weird, tangible oddness.
Yeah, but you can retcon that as well, saying that now that they've had experience with other humans, been able to read number one's mind, Pike's mind, they have more of a feeling for what other humans are like. Based on their memories and relationships, so they could have, it's there's been some time to marinate that character.
But you know what I mean? If you'd put her in a different episode and didn't say who she was, you wouldn't have said, "Oh, that's Vina." You know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly.
But again, great to see her. I thought the showing her deformed was a bit like was again too easy. We'll just throw it in here, and it wasn't quite graphic enough.
It was a bit lackluster compared to the original,
which was like, oh,
yeah. Exactly. I did appreciate the little touches, like the sound of the atmosphere of Talos was the exact same sound effect, and the Burnham doing the exact same thing Spock did and touching the flower and kind of having that smile on her face.
Well, I had a smile on my face.
Yeah, well, exactly. That was beautifully done. So I really appreciated the little touches like that. I was missing the rock face, though, with the elevator. That would have been neat. But they landed like 100 meters away from that or something.
Well, you can tell that they're running out of money because they just, like I said, landed at a rock quarry, and obviously they didn't land at a rock quarry. They drove to a rock quarry, added a CGI shuttle, which in itself isn't that expensive, and just filmed a bit. So that felt lackluster. It didn't look or feel like Talos. It felt like a rock quarry. It had the same color palette. Okay, it had those plants, but that was the least they could do. They should do it, and they did do it, and I was wondering, are they going to show it? But they needed to do something else a bit more elaborate. Just a little bit, like 10, 20%, over 20% more elaborate. And obviously to CGI that mountain range would have been absolutely easy. And because it just would have been a mountain in the background. They don't know, she doesn't know what's there, So it was kind of like, you could tell this ran out of money. But then, Stuart, they shuttle beamed them in. The shuttle beamed them down.
Yeah, I talked about this in my first reaction video last night. I said, well, the shuttles didn't have transporters until like the runabouts, and then there were, because in TNG they had some with shuttles. So yeah, that kind of bugged me a little bit, but it didn't almost look like a transporter pad. It was weird.
It was a single emitter.
Yeah. But then people were making the argument too that it's a long-range shuttle, it's capable of warp, it has weapons, it's not the standard shuttle that is aboard most starships. So I was like, maybe, but I still don't think TOS shuttles would have had that.
It's also it's also the only shuttle we've ever seen, so it is the standard shuttle for every single time we've seen ever. Yeah. It just devalues TNG again, because then in all the movies. Star Trek 6, why couldn't they do this, and this? Why couldn't Kirk just beam? Why did he have to plan B for barricade? Why couldn't this beam on the Enterprise with the shuttle? You know what I mean? You start another slight, we don't care breaking, because that's obviously a long shuttle. That's got warp too. So, yeah. I think, again, that was an expense thing. It's it's much quicker to get us from there to there is to beam, rather than...
Or just not explain it. Take a walk out of the shuttle, and then be walking into a cave entrance down, and then you're done. Well,
that's obviously why you'd have the cave face, the mountain. That would be you had to build it. You have to CGI it. It was just cheaper just to beam them down with an effect that costs hundreds of dollars, not thousands. So it just felt like and also pacing. Because I liked that they got them straight into the action. Although again, the closing seems so chill. It's like they really let them just do that.
I gotta give praise to the actor that played Spock. I thought he did a fantastic job. Way better than we've seen in the trailers, any of the teases we've got. That was, at the end of it, his stoic nature. I think he's actually better Spock than Zachary Quinto. And I have no issues with his character. I want to see more of him, actually. I do love the little call out. So do you think that beard's working for you? That was hilarious. That's just mirroring all the fans that have been complaining about that. And the fact that Spock's self-conscious about it, he touches it.
I don't think he even realized he had the beard.
Bravo.
Because he was so concentrated.
Yeah, exactly. Whatever. So I got to give him a lot of props. His acting job on Spock was fantastic.
But I was fine with Spock. I think he's interesting. I like that they specifically called out that we must disengage Spock's mind from logic as to help heal him. He's good, fine. He hasn't had anything meaty to do yet, although I like his disdain. His gentle disdain, because even though he understands why she did it, it's the fact that you could have you chose to do it that way. It's not what you did; it's the fact that you chose to be that mean. Although I did think it was underwhelming the why. I know he was a kid, but we were expecting something really horrible and mean. It's that's going to cause a lifelong grudge. Hurt for a couple of years, but lifelong I'll never talk to you again grudge. Not quite strong enough in my opinion.
Especially for a character as smart as Spock, who's going to realize later when he's older that it was done for his own good. She had to say that so that she would, it's not like it was from the heart from her.
I think what they did is they realized we put ourselves in a corner. We can't make our golden child Michael Burnham seem like a real horrible person right now. We've got to do something mild that seems bad, but really isn't.
Another thing I liked was the fact that he mind melded with the Red Angel. That called
classic Spock trope.
Location. But because of the quantum whatever, just because she had the faceplate on or whatever, he couldn't really get a lot of information. So I like that. It is a she. It's been confirmed.
We just said human. When do they say she?
He says she.
Oh, I didn't hear she. Okay.
Yeah. Later when they're talking about it, they say she. So it could still be Michael Burnham. And that kind of bugs me a little bit. It could be that Spock knows it's Michael Burnham and can't tell her because otherwise, either that or the face shield didn't come down. I expected him almost to take the mask off when he was reaching up for the mind meld, but it could.
It's Valeris.
It could just be that he didn't get enough information through the technology or whatever.
Well, that was certainly the implication. It's like I can't actually get the mind, but I can get the thoughts that I'm being allowed to see through the tech, which implies like, I mean, if they can, go through time, of course they can put psychic bridge tech, blah, 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 all that stuff. Although if it was Michael Burnham, I would assume that he could sense that in her brain when he mind melded, so I assume that would take her out of the running. But we'll talk about that as a
like I said, we can talk about that separately because there's a
tease.
lot of things on that.
Tease. The problem now is that we've got another sort of season 1 style setup of the robot lady. The black alert's been sabotaged. I wonder who that is. And then this whole long thing that's like, yeah, but it's not her, it's not him. Like, you're using a lot of time on a thing that isn't to reveal. Like, it doesn't feel like you're actively seeing the characters. It's like spinning their wheels, and it's like, you could do this better with other things. Well, I liked that now, because they were saying that both 3 transmissions were sent, three dots, super powerful, don't know where, which is interesting in itself. Where, not when. No quantum signature, and Spore Drive is undone, which is interesting, with a command code, but those are easily faked. I mean, that's not even a, But I like that Tyler's very honest, but Pike doesn't. It's not personal. Again, shows how great a captain he is. He goes straight to the rational reason of, well, now I know they might be able to do stuff to your brain. It isn't really you. Just quarters. Like, it wasn't like, you betrayed us. It was super rational and thought-provoking. And so I was like, good job, dude. You didn't overreact. And he did apologize. Like, he was like, I'm sorry. This is for your own good, too. And you could tell he meant it. So I really appreciate that scene. Just that way they handled could be a very cliche scene of, you're the traitor. Take him to the brig. And it's just like, yeah. So I appreciate that.
Yeah, that was great. I never considered the 3 large packets and the 3 dots. I just assume it's tied into the probe that was trying to download the information, and it's Arium now sending the rest of the information in large bursts somewhere. So I never really considered the 3 transmissions though tying in with the 3 dots. I mean, that might be a thing, that might not, but
you might as well. Like, there's 3. There's 3.
It's a good catch on your part.
It's like, look, that's a mirror. You know what I mean? It's just like a little, doesn't really mean anything, but also it means something. So what do you think of then the plot? You were waiting again. You were waiting to see, that you were excited about the other time, the Tyler Vox / Dead Reborn Hugh Culber face-off / long setup.
I thought it was really well handled and not too long. It was just kind of right. I didn't like the coldness he has with Stamets though. That kind of bugs me because I did like seeing those two together, their relationship dynamic. But I mean, that's going to lead somewhere, I'm sure. He's like, move on, let me move on, which is interesting. But the Tyler and him showdown was perfectly done. Culber did a great job with that scene. Was that Vogue? Bring him out. It's not that easy. That was fantastically done, and the way Saru handled it is beautiful. But it was very cathartic for both characters, and I think now they're kind of good now.
Well,
that's all it takes sometimes.
Maybe just better.
Better. Well, it's good compared to what it was, right? So.
Yeah.
So no, I thought that was well handled and not too much time spent on it, which was fine. I'm looking forward to seeing where that goes, because now Stamets has no real connection to the ship if Hugh doesn't want to stay, or even if Hugh does stay. So is Stamets going to take that teaching position on Vulcan? Is he leaving the ship? Again, though, we jump right back into the Spore Drive really quick. All the canisters are refilled, by the way. Don't know if you noticed that. That kind of bugged me, but. Although I do hope Q kind of comes around. I hope it's a slow process kind of thing. But I can't see it. I don't know.
Yeah, I was pleased by it. I think a little bit too much setup. Like, just a little bit too much. Like, and it was all very much of the actor being like it was all, like 30 seconds too much. It was on that fine line for me. But I did like how much effort, Stamets was putting in. And it is hard to see, but unfortunately now, like I said in previous episodes, the Stamets character has now been brought down to this is all he's got as a character, because he can't Spore Drive like that. That is going to be gone by the end of the season, and so yes, it is natural for him to leave the show. And now he's got Culber again, and no, he hasn't. And
Yeah,
at least they're approaching it in a, I guess, mature science fiction way. You know, he literally isn't who he was. He might have some of his mental energy, but is a brand new you created in a totally radical different way. You know, and I could see the soup to him coming my way. It's like, it's not the same. It's your favorite. Well, it's not my favorite anymore. I have different, everything about me. So I thought it was very well handled and very interesting. Although I think it's just I think it's going to go nowhere, in the sense of it's just a way to bring a character back that they didn't really want to kill, that they did kill, but new showrunners say no, we're going to bring him back, give Stamets a new plot. So I think they're bringing him back to allow him and Stamets to have their ending for this season, because as a Doctor, he's not ever going to be a Doctor again. We're just seeing a gentle end of those characters, because otherwise Stamets has nothing to do. And he's a good actor that people like, so we've got to give him something to do.
Well, I find it very interesting that now the Doctor and Tyler have a lot in common, because Hugh says, I don't know who I am anymore, and Tyler's like, yeah, tell me about it. So they both kind of have that dichotomy of character now that kind of makes them,
birds of a feather.
Something that ties them together, and not just in the bad way of I snapped your neck. And that's interesting, because it's going to be cool to see how that plays out, if it does. Like, everybody's going to stay on the ship, that relationship is going to be quite interesting, actually.
I think the payoff wasn't the fight. The payoff was at one moment. And that was, I didn't expect them to say that. And again, very maturely handled, and then, like I say, I love the dialogue of get Vok out, like, wonderfully handled, lovely. Oh, the Pike and Vina stuff? I guess any sort of conclusion, thoughts on that?
No, like I said, I think it enhances the flavor a little bit of the Menagerie, making it feel more impactful that he's being reunited with Vina, whom he loves. I thought that was fine. It was a great retcon, and it just makes that episode feel a little bit warmer, I think.
I don't think retcon. I just think that was gently added in.
Yeah.
I wasn't expecting that either. I assumed they were going to be separate.
I assume they wouldn't see each other at all in this episode.
Or we'd see other Pike, and you'd have that relationship. What about the ending then? And I'll go first. I thought I was so ahead of the characters of, obviously this is a Talosian trick. Obviously, no shit. What do you think about that whole reveal? And just the end.
I thought it was great, and I thought the same thing. As soon as she was saying, let them go, trust me, and he said disengage the transporter, I said to Sylvia, yeah, they're not. That's an illusion on this Section 31 ship. And sure enough, it was. Shuttle came up. But I absolutely love the Section 31 part where it's, say goodbye, Spock. Goodbye, Spock. I even said to Sylvia, I hope he says goodbye, Spock. Yep. And then learning that Georgiou actually killed the Talosians in her time, and she's standing there the whole time with a smug look on her face, knowing exactly what's going on, because Leland's being tricked, and she's like, and I liked Georgiou in this episode.
Me too. Yeah.
The way they did her character, I've always kind of not liked her.
Yeah.
This one, I liked her character. I thought she was done very well, so bravo to that. So I thought the ending was fantastic.
Well, she's so different to how she was in season 1. Like, radically different. They've completely written the character differently. She's now not evil. She's now not a murderer, except the bit she killed an entire species. But her current persona, beyond the references, she's just this, I'm a chess player. I'm a cold, calculating chess player that's still friendly to people and use them for need to. They're putting her more like a Sloane than who she ever was before. Like, they're completely changing, which is good. They needed to. But
and did you get the thing early on with the admirals, where the admirals are like, I was speaking to Captain Georgiou. How many of the admirals know she's the Empress? Because I think a lot of
all of them.
Well, I think some of them think she's the captain.
Well, because also she just says out in my universe in front of the entire ship. So, if the Section 31 crew know, that's going to go back to the admirals who are also running. They're also the Section 31 admirals. So I think they wouldn't No, I think hands down they know. But I mean, she's obviously she's got an empire. She must know what she's doing. Although as soon as the trick happened, I was like, oh, so Leland's going to walk back. He's 5 seconds away. He's going to walk back, threaten to fire on Discovery, get their shields down, and beam them back up. They want. Oh, you're not. Oh, you're not. You're just leaving. Oh. Just go back. You can overpower them easily. You're a more powerful ship because it's like, oh no, you're giving up. All right.
Yeah, I kind of thought the same.
It was plot hole. plot hole. Even to the fact that they can go back to Discovery and they wait for a few minutes. They should rewrite there. It was very strange. Yeah, like if they'd spored away instantly, then I could have seen like a cool shot of them sporing, and then the ship comes out of orbit. It's like, damn it, we just missed them. Track them. We can't say they spored away. Damn it! That would have been a. Fine.
That would have been a great ending. Yeah, you're absolutely right.
And then like cliffhanger of where do they go? You know.
Yeah, they would have had to fix the spore drive. But
well, they didn't. Well,
could have done in a line of dialogue.
Yeah, I wouldn't have broken it in the first place. I would just have skipped that bit. So yeah, there you go. Closing summary and score.
Closing summary, this episode was fantastic. As I said, I think Discovery's finding its legs, and I'm really enjoying the ride so far. A lot of course corrections have been done, and I think they're on course now. So looking forward to more. And a score out of 10, I'm going to give it a 9.
Yeah, and like I said, this one shows a far better grasp of the balance of using the canon, caring about the canon, and caring about the fans. Because you didn't need to show the moment with the flower. You didn't need to, these few little things. But that's the thing. A show, it can't stand on its own because it's in the Trek universe. You need to use all the existing canon. Like, why didn't they make Vina a black redhead? Okay, they could have because she's an illusion. But no, you made her a white blonde girl, although long hair for some reason. Because that's the canon. Using it is very, very important. Even if you do, slight visual update. Which just did a better balance of this week. And they didn't ruin the Talosians. They could have. They didn't for the first time. They didn't ruin an existing thing.
Yep.
I was impressed. That alone should get them kudos.
Yes.
And I'm gonna give this a 8. Just because I was waiting for the payoff. There wasn't a payoff. It was a good ride, but it just kind of ended before it got. You know what I mean? It needed something else, or it needed like the end. They do pick up a fragment of the probe, and there's something revealed. And I will also mention again, it didn't mention Baul. They didn't mention Kelpia. They didn't mention how the time wave wrecked the planet. They had to jump back to the planet to pick up the destroyed probes. They were back in orbit. Didn't mention Kelpia. Didn't care. We knew they wouldn't mention it. They just don't care. And were they in orbit with Kelpia the entire time they walked away? Yes. I guess Kelpia's at like half a day away from Talos 4. I don't know. I mean, whatever. Yeah. They don't care about some of their own internal stuff.
Yeah. I find it odd that there's a starbase within 2 light years of Talos, personally. But
yeah. Because I'm pretty sure Talos is meant to be a far out-reaching colony that they were surprised people are at. And 2 light years is literally just around the corner.
It's next door, yeah. Yeah, so we're going to talk about that more in our complete episode breakdown later today. Live at 5 Eastern Standard Time. Please join us.
10 p.m. GMT. The real time zone. The best time zone.
If you want to think that.
Oh, I love it.
So until then, guys, don't forget to hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, hit the notification icon, put your comments down below. What did you think of this episode? Did you enjoy it? Did you hate it? Is there things you would improve? Did some things they do, were they really good? Let us know. Yeah, and if you want to support the channel, like I said, share it around, just put the word out there, and come back and watch more stuff from us. So there you go.
Yeah, and of course, go on our Patreon, donate if you can, go to our Teespring, buy if you can, and like I said, the great way is just join our lives, because we do all the time. A brilliant way of supporting what we're doing. Or just view, share, and watch our sub videos. We do them during the whole week about little discussion topics. This is more of a general breakdown of quite an important episode, but we do sub things. So until then, he is Captain Foley.
And he is Commander Cockings.
See you next time.
Bye,
guys.